the one topic we're going to do here, then we're going to go over to Rumble.
Is the one topic that YouTube will probably kick our video off for doing.
Bull crap. They're going to answer my question as to, Robert, now I'm thinking about it. The video that I had taken down, my interview with François Amalaga, I'm wondering now if it was a video taken down based on the updated terms of service, because when I looked at the ones that they sent me, now that I think about it, it clearly had the RFK provision in it, and I don't know when they even implemented that. Okay, François Amalaga was the Cameroonian, moved to Quebec, spent some time in jail because he refused to abide by the COVID restrictions, and maybe was a little antagonistic in the way he went and overtly, deliberately broke the rules. But the world needs people like François. RFK Jr. is suing Google, the owning company of YouTube. It's an interesting lawsuit. I mean, like it's what it seems that it's been argued many times. I think PragerU a couple of years back filed a similarly based lawsuit, but we've got a lot more information now than we did back then in terms of the insidious, incestuous corruption between government agencies and the social media monopolies. And RFK Jr.'s lawsuit fleshes it out. Bottom line, they're saying now that the government collusion, government coercion is known. The evidence is out. It's been disclosed in a number of spots. It's undeniable. And therefore, these community guidelines, terms of service, which are opaque, vague, ambiguous, and apparently politically implemented, are void and can't be applied, and they have to be struck down, and YouTube and Google have to be enjoined from enforcing them. And RFK does do a good job of incorporating the newly discovered elements from the Twitter files. What was the most recent one that we just discovered, Robert? Oh, Tabarnouche, I forget. But either way, he's done a good job really showing that the social media company, it's not just a private company monopoly. They have been acting at the behest of and under the coercion of the federal government, and have in that sense become an extension of the federal government, thus subject to First Amendment rights, First Amendment violations, First Amendment protections. Robert, without getting ahead of ourselves, how optimistic are you of any chance of success now or down the line? Does this force the Supreme Court to one day take these cases and render a definitive judgment?
Well, really, it's heavily predicated upon the evidence that was developed in the Biden versus or Missouri and Louisiana versus Biden, which is currently pending before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals on an expedited briefing schedule after the district court issued an injunction that the appeals court temporarily stayed, finding that there was state action. And effectively, and this comes from theories that I've had, but also primarily theories that a Yale law professor had, that basically big tech was in the state action business. First suit to really fully develop this was Robert Kennedy's suit against Facebook, that's still pending before the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And basically, it's when it's state action is when there's been significant and substantial encouragement by the state, when you can basically say there's been either collusion or coercion, such that the private actor is not acting independently. And what you need is either significant encouragement or significant threats, or effectively a joint enterprise, or something comparable to it. And here, their point in this complaint is that these actual new rules derive directly from the government. The government sent the rules over, and that's how YouTube adjusted, modified it. So they're like, these aren't YouTube's rules. These are the government's rules, using YouTube as its enforcement tool. Second, there's been no doubt about substantial encouragement, because they've said YouTube is killing people and responsible for mass murder if they don't do it, while also threatening that they'll lose a whole bunch of benefits if they don't make the changes requested. And there's no question also that they were targeting Robert Kennedy in particular, because there's emails, and multiple emails, that say from the Biden White House, get rid of Robert Kennedy. And their point that they're enhancing here is that now he's a presidential candidate, and that Biden has a specific motivation to get rid of him. And they allege that upon information and belief, Biden has escalated his threats to YouTube and Google to try to restrict Robert Kennedy. And for those that don't know, I mean, things like his interview with Jordan Peterson was struck. His interview with Joe Rogan was struck. I mean, popular big interviews have been knocked off of the YouTube platform. The more popular more likely they get struck. And so even some interviews where he didn't even discuss anything related to COVID-19, which shows how, and it's not those components that are getting struck, and they're giving no notice when they strike them and no opportunity to fix it. So it's part of, they clearly feel pressure to censor and suppress the voice of Robert Kennedy as a public platform that's effectively the agent of the United States government. And so that's the evidentiary and legal theory. Now, I think there's an additional theory he may pursue at some point. There's requirements in the Federal Trade Commission laws that broadcasters, of which YouTube clearly is at this point, have to give equal time and can't intervene, can't unfairly prejudice any particular political candidate registered with the FEC. It's always been an open question whether that's enforceable in a private cause of action. To my knowledge, it's never been litigated. And so that may be something else he adds to the equation. But here he's bringing a twofold First Amendment claim, one on the grounds that it's pure speech suppression and retaliation. The other is that these rules are so overbroad and vague that since they're really government rules, they violate due process requirements of notice and have overbreadth problems in the First Amendment. So it's a case he should win. It's in the Northern District of California. It's in the Ninth Circuit where there's been hostility. So we'll see if he actually does win it. But yeah, I think one way or the other, between the Missouri case, the other Robert Kennedy versus Facebook case, this Robert Kennedy case, one of these cases is going to end up before the Supreme Court.
Has nobody tried the argument of deceitful business practices? Because I mean, I know RFK.
Yeah, they've argued Section 2. His Facebook case did. They also argued RICO and everything else, and they argued Section, and the court accepted, the district court did, Section 230 immunity.
All right, well, that's it. So don't anybody get your hopes up. Anyway, but it's a good lawsuit. I mean, it definitely, on the factual basis, has incorporated all of the recent stuff that we've been covering, coming out of the Missouri case, coming out of recent statements, disclosures, Twitter files, and all the rest. So, factual basis, it's good. We'll see if it goes anywhere. And the fact that he is running for president, and when they take down Jordan Peterson's interview with him, it's obvious what they're doing.
And the reason and the reason why he's got a stronger case is not just the Missouri versus Biden precedent and evidence, but the detail of the specific exhibits that he was able to get, which he didn't have before. Mm-hmm. Now he's got specific exhibits that they are coordinated. They said, please take down everything with Robert Kennedy in it. So, and now he's Biden's opponent. So you have that additional component. You have Biden weaponizing the government to suppress the speech of his opponent through coercion on big tech and denial of the rights of freedom of speech, expression, press, and the like. And it's probably all because he doesn't want people paying too much attention to as the Trump campaign people put out this week. Every time there's been a corruption story break about Joe Biden, they indict Donald Trump within a day or two.